Welcome to another episode of Unlocking the Mind Behind Make More Work Less. Hi, my name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I have the opportunity to help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on Unlocking the Mind, I'm going to be talking about another cognitive bias. And the reason why I talk about this is because we have to understand how our minds work, why we make certain decisions, how do we better negotiate, how do we build better relationships, and sometimes how do we avoid certain situations that we might be facing, and because people are using these cognitive bias against us, or in return, how do we use cognitive biases so that we can better make our own decisions and also counteract certain biases that come to us. So for today's cognitive bias that we're going to be talking about, it's the backfire effect. Now, to support that, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever had a scenario when you were so sure about something, and then somebody else thought something completely different? So you go and approach that person and you go, you know what? I think it's X, Y, and Z, and here's all the facts, here's all the reasons, and all this other supported information for what you believe is completely true. And that person was still absolutely not going to budge. They're so adamant on keeping what their thought process is. And in fact, they're doubling down. They're fighting you on it. They're saying, no, they're right. And there's no way in anything that they're going to be wrong about the situation. They're going to give you more and more reasons as to why they're right. Now, you approach that situation thinking that you're going to go in and just have a nice conversation and have all this proof, all these facts that will convince that person otherwise. But instead, you get a backfire effect because that person is now even more adamant that they're correct. Well, that is, in fact, the backfire effect. Now, another scenario is if I said, do you believe or do you realize that trying to change somebody's mind is almost impossible? Or would you believe that changing somebody's mind is absolutely very, very hard? And if you're saying, no, I change people's minds all the time, well, that in effect is a backfire effect. You instantly came up with a thought process saying, no, that's not true. In fact, I could change people's minds all the time. So the backfire effect. This is where an opinion, when it's contradicted with facts, instead of actually changing a person's thought process or belief, it actually further strengthens that person's thought and belief. So that's why I was talking about that scenario when you go in with lots of facts and that other person is actually coming back with more and more reasons why you're wrong and that they're right. That is the backfire effect. Another scenario is, do you remember time when you went to school, way back when you were back in elementary school or junior high, and you had this opinion about one person, and you go, what? You know what? That person is not the right person for me. That person is always bad. And you just have this feeling that they're not a good person. No matter how many people come up to you saying that they're good, they're smart, they're a nice person, you just still can't shake that feeling that that person's a bad person. Well, that's, again, the backfire effect. You're doubling down on what your belief is, what your opinion is. And the funny thing is, when we are faced with certain facts and scenarios or opinions that contradicts our actual thoughts, opinions, and beliefs, it actually triggers the same part of our brain as when our pain comes in, when we're attacked. And that's when we feel like we're attacked. So when somebody comes up to us with a different opinion, or facts that contradicts our thoughts, it feels like actual pain because that's the same trigger that goes in our brains. So the first thing we would think about is defenses will come up. We're trying to do everything that we can to defend ourselves, whether it's physical or mental. We're trying to fight to the death that says that we are actually going to be in the right mindset, we're correct, and our opinion is what is the right opinion to have. And that's why we keep on doubling down, we keep on fighting, we keep on pushing about our own opinion. And no matter how many facts come in that supports otherwise, we're still going to keep on pushing. And the thing is, the reason why that happens is our emotions are so tied to that belief, to that opinion, to that thought, that no matter how hard we try with the logic coming in, our emotions come up first. That's why the very first thing that comes up is an emotional feeling that goes, we have to defend. Instead, because our emotional reactions actually comes in a lot faster than how our logical brains work. So instead of actually stopping and rethinking and having our logic come in, our emotions takes over, and it allows us to fight for what we truly believe is true, even though if it was not. So how do we go against this? Well, if it was for us, the very first thing is we need to understand ourselves that this effect is in place and it does happen. So therefore, when stuff does come in, instead of acting right away emotionally, sometimes we just have to take a step back and think about logically. Remove ourselves, have an open mind, and maybe unlearn what we've already learned. As Yoda says, you must unlearn what you have learned. And therefore, we have to try and look at it from a different perspective. Bring in that new information and assess it logically instead of having our emotions come in and acting according to our emotions. That's one thing. The other thing is have that person repeat it, like tell the other person to repeat it more and more to you. The more they repeat it, the more you will get that information in, and maybe you start thinking about how that is actually true, or how that opinion actually has some good support to it, and your mind gets a little bit more flexible. Now, we could also use this effect to our advantage, because the fact that we know that this effect is in play and that this effect is existent, we might go up to somebody by purposely feeding them information that we know that they want. Marketing and in branding and also in advertising does this all the time. They know that the backfire effect is in play, and therefore when they put advertising up or marketing up, they put it so that they know that the target market is susceptible to that information, and they give them what they want to see and what they want to hear. Now, the thing is, in this day and age, that backfire effect comes in, it's a lot more tougher to go against it because it's so easy to find things that we want. Just like I said, the advertisers and the companies are giving us what we want. That's the exact same thing as what's going on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that kind of stuff, because the more we like certain things, the more we share, and the more we comment on certain things, the more of the stuff that we actually believe in, the more the stuff that we actually like will come up on our feed. Constantly repeating the stuff that supports our mindset. Therefore, if anything does come in that contradicts our thought process, we're going to again act emotionally and go, that is wrong, we're not going to believe it, and we're going to hunker down on our original belief. And therefore the backfire effect comes into play once again. So in this day and age, it's getting harder and harder to counteract that, because it's so much information coming in on a day-to-day basis that supports what we want. So another way that we could counteract this is by asking questions. If somebody comes, if you're going up to somebody, instead of forcing constant facts on them and statistics and reasons why they are wrong, you may want to just give them more information and more questions so that they start questioning themselves, and let them arise to the same solution or the same answer that you want them to approach. And therefore, they'll start believing that they came to that solution, that thought process on their own. So if you keep on asking questions, you keep on repeating certain things, paraphrasing your facts, paraphrasing your opinions, and also your beliefs and your thoughts, then eventually they'll start questioning certain things, and they'll start being a little bit more open-minded about what is being presented to them. So that is the backfire effect. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your potential. We'll see you later.